Corr Syl the Terrible, Chapter 2, The Search for Rhea. Corr was at his family home in the plains north of Wycliffe District Centre. The Continental Council had asked him to come with Rhea, but he had first completed a mission and had gone home for a visit. In the familiar rounded rooms carved in stone and floored with the soft rugs his mother wove, Corr lost interest in saving the world. If it had not been for Rhea, he would have refused the Continental Council's invitation. After dinner, stories and laughter over the Syl family history, Corr went out to look at the moonlit landscape. He leapt up and knelt on the rough surface of the miniature mesa that capped the Syl home, its top etched round by rain and its base eroded by blowing sand. The mesa resembled a gritty mushroom. West of Corr, the high granite mountains made a hazy wall stretching away to the south. Northeast, an ancient seabed shimmered in the moonlight. Corr didn't look east toward the black hills that made the eastern border of Wycliffe District, and reached toward the faint glow of the human city of Mountain View 60 miles south. In those hills, he had killed a friend. Should he go to the Continental Centre? The need pulled at him, but he couldn't decide. He'd been home for a week, and his parents' care was turning into concern. A breeze arrived, stirred by the dry air's shrinking contact with cooling stone. Should he make his long-planned exploration of the world? Wouldn't he be a better warrior and be better fit to serve after he had seen other places? Must he be a warrior? The breeze died. In the cool, still air, a cricket sang and a pygmy owl called. He wondered if Rhea's work at the Continental Centre would give her enough status to feel equal and return his feelings. Corr made a slow turn to face the Black Hills. He was trained to kill. He had memorized the anatomy of 100 species, and he had practiced the precise strikes needed to kill each one. Corr understood his problem. Sabe are born with the instinctive tendency to protect life. Warriors learn to let conscious decisions overcome the instinct. I have tried, but either my instinct is more powerful than average, or I haven't trained properly, Corr mused. Should he return his swords to his teacher and seek another profession? Would Rhea care if he were a librarian or a gleaner caring for the land? Shoulders slumped, head down, the young warrior cast an unhappy shadow. Wish stole far. The chairman of the Continental Council broke into Corr's reverie. Corr! I've just learned that someone has taken Rhea. It happened 75 miles west of Brushy Mountain. Right now, that's all we know. Time froze for an instant, then roared away. Corr's thought streams thrashed, then crashed together and fused. Taken? What did that mean? Corr searched his memory and discovered no recent examples, but he found definitions and advice. Rhea's abductors wanted something from her or from those who cared for her. What was he doing here? He should have warned her. He should have gone with her. He needed to find her now. Corr called Rhea. No answer. He called Abel Remington and asked for details. We had stopped to camp when a group of Sabe ran up and covered us with nets. We were 2 days from the center, Remington said. That was 1,000 miles east of Corr. At his best speed, it would take 5 days to get there on foot. He had to go south to Mountain View and try to borrow a plane. There was an old Sabe plane in the Continental Museum. Maybe he could use that. During the 10 million years of war following the dinosaur extinction, Sabe warriors had built flying warcraft. One of them sat in the catacombs beneath the Continental Centre Museum. Corr's teacher, Halbert Sims, assumed the plane used antimatter power. Antimatter engines exhausted super hot air that would add a problem to the complex concerns of the Sabe gleaners who cared for the land. No Sabe wanted that. However, Rhea was an important person. Her need justified the plane's use, if it still worked. Corr called the museum, introduced himself to the curator, and asked if he could use the old aircraft. Of course you can use the old aircraft. Anyone can, but you're the first to ask when I've been here. I remember seeing a warrior symbol on the side, so I guess it belonged to the Warrior Guild. Now, let me look it up. While he searched for the craft's records, the curator said, Corr, the old warcraft is mysterious. Warriors must have built it near the end of the Age of War. It's the oldest relic in the museum. And I saw it when I started working here. Yeah, it looked shiny and new. Hey, here's the access number. I have to go to the vault. A few minutes later, the curator said, I found a folder. Well, there's nothing in it except a sheet of blue material inscribed with 2 lines. The first line says, key, followed by a series of letters and numbers. The second line says, designation, IOZ-1899. I'm not sure how to activate the craft, and I don't know if it still works. This is the key. The curator read a string of 45 characters. Try projecting the designation and key in your thoughts along with your location, and I'll tell you if the ship responds. As this conversation was going on, Corr was speculating that the saved ship was too old to fly. He used another thought stream to call the Mountain View Embassy security office about chartering an airplane. Then he repeated the key and the longitude and latitude coordinates for the embassy. He could be there by morning. If the ship arrived, fine. But if he didn't, he would borrow an airplane. Museum curator said, Corr, I guess that worked. The ship disappeared. The acting director of the Mountain View Embassy returned Corr's call and asked for details. What size plane and how long do you need it? It only has to carry me. But I need it to have good range and speed. A week will do. Can you arrange something by morning? By mid-morning, the director said. Good, I'll be there. Corr went in to get his gear. He explained to his mother and father that Rhea was in trouble and that he was going to help her. His father nodded, and his mother gave him a hug. Corr, just a moment, she said. She went into her workroom and returned with a small folded bundle. Tuck this in your pack. It'll keep you warm and dry. Outside, Corr headed for the Korean Trail, the ancient north-south route that led down White River Valley to Mountain View. He set a pace that would take him to the embassy by morning. Sun was up when Corr reached Mountain View. He followed the street he and Rhea had used when they came to investigate the human border crossing last spring. As he ran along stepping stones that had replaced the sidewalk, he was pleased to see that most of the street's pavement was gone and the soil had been tilled. He passed the home of friends, Thomas's, and caught familiar thoughts, but had no time to stop. 3 blocks later, he turned and saw the huge natural rock dome looming above everything nearby. As he neared, he saw a blue object inside the front gate. Paintings and sculpture filled the walls and floor of the embassy. The blue thing must be a new outdoor sculpture. The embassy director called, Corr, how long until you get here? I'm approaching now. You see the blue egg? Yes. Well, it's yours. Mine? Yes. It appeared sometime last night. Our security chief traced the designation outside to the Continental Center Museum. The curator said it was an old warrior craft on loan to you. I need you to move it. It's so near the embassy entrance that people can't enter. 30 feet long and 20 feet high, the cobalt blue craft sat on the gravel path to the embassy entrance like a smug egg. Smug. Smugness. Corr began running a perception check. The feeling was coming from the craft. Peculiar. Gleaming smooth without wings, doors, or windows, the ship's only feature was a warrior insignia and the characters IOZ-1899. Corr said, Okay, I'll move it. I might not need a plane now. As a growing group of embassy visitors and staff watched, Corr walked around the craft looking for an entrance. Nothing broke the smooth, gleaming surface. He stepped back on the side with the insignia and said, Open the door. To no result. And then, Open the door, please? Still nothing. Finally, he tried reciting the key and thinking, Open the door. An opening appeared at ground level in front of him. Scattered cheers came from the visitors. Corr wiggled the fur on his orbital ridges at them and stepped through the opening into a dim space. As he entered, he tingled, and his tactical senses buzzed. A precise thought appeared without the fuzzy blur of most thoughts. Corr Syl, welcome to Mobile Warrior Command Base, IOZ-1899. Huh? There weren't any controls or portals. Unsure of what to do, Corr said, Can you open ports? Yes, but view screens show more. Okay. Corr was standing a few yards from the embassy entrance. The crowd of spectators were looking in his general direction. In front of him, a hazy blue, prolate spheroid enclosed semi-transparent ball of light surrounding a miniature person. The person was Corr. Wow. Corr reached out and felt something like dense air against his fingertips as he touched the spheroid. He pushed through and felt similar resistance. IOZ-1899, What is this? Your hand is the control. You can achieve motion by pretending that I'm a hand puppet, but using thoughts will be more efficient. You are registered and no longer need to preface orders with my designation. You can use Z99 if you wish. Okay, Z99. How do I work the control? Picture the spheroid moving, and the ship moves. Move the inner simulation, and the view changes. Corr called Wistful far at the Continental Center, and for the first time in his life, got no response. No message. No way to leave a message. Just silence. The ship. Z99, let me make a call. This time, Far answered. Corr got coordinates for Rhea's abduction and gave them to Z99. Shall I activate security? Z99 asked. Sure. What level? What levels are there? Least, full, and anything in between that you wish. What's the difference? For general ship control, least allows control by anyone with the key. Full limits control to the last individual that used the key and entered. You may also choose least or full for my systems. Systems are life support, defense, pilot, and power, each. Use full for all, Corr said. He studied the options after he found Rhea. Corr needed sleep. He decided that he could watch a landscape flow by another time. He curled up on the floor and closed his thought streams, leaving only his tactical senses alert. 2 hours later, he awoke. He felt stiff, but not as much as he expected after a 60-mile run and a nap on a steel floor. Soft. The floor was soft. He rolled onto his back. The floor hardened, but in seconds it began softening. Nice. He stood and looked down through the floor view screen. Nothing was flowing beneath the ship. Instead, he saw brown leaves scattered across dry grass. There was a willow thicket ahead, and a tall white sycamore across a small stream. While he had slept, they had traveled 1,000 miles. That was fast. Z99, open the door. As he left the ship, Corr sent someone watching. The observer was making a call using a mobile phone. While listening in on the call, Corr studied tracks. When he heard a helicopter and sensed a group of Save approaching on foot, he yanked out his new blanket and spread it over a patch of tall grass. Then he crossed the stream, stood in front of the sycamore, and shifted his fur to match the white-gray mottled bark. Corr glanced at the ship. Z99, are you safe from human weapons? Yes. Corr's auburn eyes followed two black parasails floating towards his blanket decoy. He squinted as rivers of plasma, as blinding as lightning, blasted the decoy. They had Save warrior hand weapons. He should have moved the ship. 4 more attackers came running and swept along, shining blades through the smoldering ash that had been his blanket. Corr's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowed, and grabbed his own plasma weapon. He aimed and then paused. Who had sent these Save? And where was Rhea? Corr replaced the blaster and removed 2 rubber bulbs from a pouch in his harness. He sped up his movements and crossed the wash. Flashing among the attackers, he dropped them with a puff from the rubber bulbs. Dreading what he would see, he walked through the dust and smoke to see if the Z99 had survived. And there it was, just as he had left it. Nothing could resist plasma blasts from Save weapons, but Z99 could. The insignia wasn't even tarnished. The attackers' eyes held fear, but mental shields of thatched static hid their thoughts. The strength of the shield surprised Corr. He picked at one, but decided it would take hours to penetrate. Hours Rhea might not have. He called the Continental Center security staff and explained what he needed. Corr searched pouches and packs. The assassins' long, heavy swords and their steel and leather armor were familiar. Asian, he thought, but they carried nothing that showed their exact origin. Their gear reminded him of the Wolverine assassin Barth Noland. He called the Mountain View Embassy and learned that Noland had escaped during the war. All of the assassins had a patch on their weapons harness with the letters OFTA. Corr ripped one off and dropped it in his pouch. With a glance at the blackened trees and burnt remnants of the blanket, Corr left the dust and odor of the scene for the cleaner air across the wash. He launched the thought streams to review chronology, analyze the information he had, and form a plan of action. Had Rhea's kidnapper known Corr would come? 2 blasting parasailers and 4 ground troops would have killed an ordinary Save, but they had no chance against a Save warrior. Whoever planned the attack was unaware of Save Warrior abilities. Corr remembered the two Wolverine who had come after him before the war had worn the OFTA insignia. Somewhere, a powerful enemy had survived the war and was using Rhea as bait. Was that all? Had they taken Rhea just to lure Corr? Rhea could be dead, but Corr didn't think so. Would Rhea's captors keep her alive now that he had survived the attack? Corr forced himself to relax. Seconds later, Corr heard the helicopter returning. Good. As it landed, he jerked the door open, leapt onto the pilot, pinned the man's arms with his knees, and began studying the man's thoughts. A charter flight dispatcher had hired the pilot to pick up Corr's attackers and return it to base in a nearby human city. The group would board a plane, but the pilot didn't know the plane's destination. Corr jumped out and ran for the ship. There were two options. He could go to the helicopter's base and try to learn Rhea's destination, or he could interview Remington. Though Abel Remington held the trust of many, Corr had known from the first meeting that the Lynx was hiding something. Interviewing Remington at the Continental Center was the next step.